16 Minutes of Care is a podcast based on the CARE principles, a strategic framework that reveals how brands create impact by caring and, as a result, grow their business. In each episode, Isabel welcomes a company executive who explains how CARE has helped their business grow successfully and sustainably.
Welcome back. 16 Minutes of Care, the new podcast by the CARE Principles. Today I have Ellen Petit. She is the country manager at GoStudent for the Netherlands and Belgium. Welcome.
Thank you.
Ellen, as you said before, the GoStudent is an online tutoring provider.
Mm-hmm.
You have about 1.5 million tutoring sessions per month. You are in more than 23 markets, mm-hmm. so you really know that online tutoring world very well.
Yes.
What I would like to do in this episode is go through the CARE strategic framework, mm-hmm. and talk about each of the shifts in the way we work mm-hmm. together. And the CARE framework stands for, the C stands for collaboration, the A stands for agility, the R stands for reliability, and the E stands for empathy. And normally we apply these CARE principles first internally, then of course also to clients, to the larger stakeholders, and of course the care for the planet. But I would really like to talk with you more about your clients, which mm-hmm. are basically students, children, yes. and maybe also a bit their parents, and do this exercise on that target group. Is that okay for you?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's dive into collaboration.
Yes.
How can you collaborate in a better way to help these students?
It's a collaboration between the families and, well, the families, so parents and children, and us as a company and the tutors. Because we have long-term relationships. So we don't do one-off tutoring because we feel that to really change something, it's not that one sum or that one grammar thing that is a problem for the next upcoming exam or test. It's a fundamental lack of understanding the basics. Plus, when you're in school, if you work on that one thing, in the lessons they're still going ahead. There's added things. Things are being added on every lesson. So it's more like maintenance the way we see it. We go to the gym twice a week. We go to the dentist twice a year. We bring our car to the garage for maintenance. But with our children and their education, it's often, oh, that's fine. Oh, problem, a test, a bad grade. Let's fix that now. Put a bandage on it, and we continue the same way. So it's that constant collaboration that's required within a long-term relationship of any sorts, I would say.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Interesting. Agility. You're a startup. You're yes. a digital startup. You're only giving online tutoring, yes. so there's no teachers coming to the house. No. So you're really a tech development yes. company. So how agile or how important is agility for your company?
It's incredibly important as a startup, besides the technological fact. Anybody who's ever started up something knows that you sort of have to roll with the punches. All the while you need to be standing strong at the same time. So agility is absolutely very important in everything we do, yes.
Mm-hmm. And how do you translate agility towards the students or towards the parents?
Because also, again, of the long-term relationship, we also understand that things change. There might be changing needs in subjects. There might be changing needs in tutors. Because if you have a child, who starts with at 12, by the time they're 13 and a half, their personalities have developed and they have become different. So it's that change that we're here for, and that we listen to parents and children and try to change where needed. That's the sort of direct relationship. Obviously, we also listen to our students, our parents, to hear what would help them learn better, learn more, have more fun. And there's all sorts of technological things that we're looking into, gamification that we're looking into, to sort of really make it more fun and integrate this more in their day-to-day life. So that GoStudent becomes another extracurricular activity for students. So they go to school, they play football, they go to ballet, they play with their friends, and they have GoStudent. Sort of, it's going to be like a normal part of life.
Normal part of
Yes.
life, exactly. When we talk about reliability, and as a startup coming from Austria, I'm curious about your job. How do you introduce a new company to a Belgium and Dutch market, for instance? And how important is it to be a reliable company?
That's everything. How we introduce it, we listen to people. So, and that starts from the first sort of contact that we have with parents mainly. What's going on, and those become really personal conversations really quickly. So, also for the people, the program managers on the phone, you know, don't think it's like a call center job, because you really need to listen and really need to understand where does this problem come from in order to find the right match with the right tutor, because that's what we find important as well. So we take a lot of time to listen, and we like take a lot of time to sort of get the perfect match. And because we do that right, and because sometimes we don't do it right, but then we correct our mistakes in a way that makes people trust us. Mm-hmm. It's everything.
It's everything. You have huge figures on Trustpilot, yes. Thousands of reviews, and you have an average score of 4.5 on 5.
Yes.
How important is that to build trust and reliability through external yes. platforms like Trustpilot?
Very important, especially when you're starting up a market. Let's see, you see an online ad, you click on it, somebody calls you, and you have no frame of reference about this company. That's a bit shady, isn't it? But if you then, from the get-go, we could say, okay, go look at our Trustpilot page. This is what we do. This is how happy parents are, our students are. So it's very important, yes.
It's very important. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about empathy. How important is empathy in education, in schooling, in teaching and training the next generations?
I think that's exactly what it is. It's that quote that's often, I don't think Albert Einstein actually said it, but we all know the quote. So if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, that fish is going to feel very down, because we say bad fish. And I feel that with the current education system, that's what we do to more and more children. And I find that especially painful looking at all the developments that society has for adults. It's a very individualized society. You and I both have a Netflix account, I think. And if we want to watch a movie, we have a different picture for that movie based on our preferences. Hours of thought go into the app development and seeing, okay, user experience, what do we need to do? But with schools, we don't look at children as one child, but as a homogeneous group of people that need to be able to do this. And I think empathy is very much overlooked there. While we have tested some things, AI-related things that look at emotion during learning or during tutoring sessions, and it plays such a big role in it.
Mm-hmm. You're experimenting a lot with new technologies. Mm-hmm. Artificial intelligence yes. is one of them. But for instance, also gamification. Can you explain a bit more about
yes. We've recently redone our own app, and that will be part of that as well. That we sort of gamify that a little bit, very much sort of like Snapchat for children, where if they send enough messages, they get like these fire thingies. And I'm not on Snapchat, so I probably explained this horribly wrong, but I think you get the drift. Because that is their experience now. I think what we need to be very careful of, and that's also the thing with online learning, we say Zoom fatigue, too much behind screens. We don't value an interaction through screens as much as we do interactions in real life. For this generation, for that age, it's different. And we should be very careful to too quickly say, oh, it's not good, because then we're becoming our parents.
That's true.
Yeah.
So is it something that, it's interesting what you say, because we look at all online communication and kids being glued to either smartphones or tablets. We feel that it's better for their physical and mental health to go outside and play football, or to go and skate, or to whatever, dance, or whatever they like to do. But it's, of course, you are tutoring a digital native generation.
Yes.
So they look very different at digital.
Yes. And that's not disagreeing. I also think that playing outside is a good idea, but I do think there's a difference between screen usage for mindlessly scrolling through your TikToks or doing something useful with your time. And that is a parent thing. Just because you offer something online doesn't mean that is now screens. But yes, on the other side, digital native generation, they value live interactions and screen interactions as pretty much the same. And I haven't found the solution to this question because personally I have an opinion on it as well. But I think we need to find the balance with everything.
Right balance,
yes,
yeah.
And yes, digital natives. But then if I look at people of my generation, and also my parents who also they're glued to it as well, and they still think that if your WhatsApp pings, that we have to answer it right now. We all have an unhealthy relationship with our phones and tablets.
We can all learn to do better.
I think definitely, yes.
Totally,
yes.
totally. So going back, just the last question on empathy, there's this idea that many parents have that their children need to learn as many skills as possible. So like you said, they spend the whole day at school, and then after school they need to go and learn piano, and then they need to go and I don't know what, also go to chess lessons. And these kids, they are just exhausted because they need to, and in certain cultures it's way stronger than I believe here in Europe, but also here in Europe, where they need to learn a language on top, and so these parents, they are really trying to train them into everything, because of course parents want to give their kids as most chances as possible.
That's it.
But do you feel like what GoStudent is doing is something that comes on top, or is it still something that can be balanced?
So I think pretty much, well, I can't say all of our parents, but the vast majority of the parents that turn to us, they do it just to help them with their school. Nothing added on. We look at what is a healthy mix. We do ask, like, what are their hobbies? How much time do they spend on that a week? You know, we do look at what package would suit that situation, that child, that family best. And eventually, we think that if you do 2 or 3 lessons, for instance, a week with your fixed tutor that you get to know over time, that will actually take down the stress of having to learn something that you're not good at, going upstairs, not being able to go to soccer practice because, oh my God, the test is tomorrow. I think that a few times regularly, small little bits are, you can plan that, and eventually that's better for everybody's schedule than nothing, and then these peaks. I think that the balance is the answer eventually.
How long is an online session?
50 minutes.
50 minutes.
Yeah.
And it costs about average?
Between 20 and 30 euros per hour, depending on the package.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. And in average, there's about 2 lessons a week. I read that
2-3 lessons.
2 to 3 lessons a week that pupils are taking. How often do you talk with the parents? Because it's, of course, it's the child that is in the lesson. How often do you talk to parents, and how do you keep them updated?
So there's a WhatsApp group between the parents and the students and the tutor. So that communication the parents are always privy to. And then we call all parents once a month just to check in how you're doing. If there is something that happens before that, we have support numbers that people can just chat, and then we get in touch with them. But once every month, just to see how everything's going.
And that is part of the subscription. That is not
correct.
something that you have to pay on top.
No,
or
that's
that
part of the subscription. Like, all our prices are all in. No travel, no time.
No.
It's wonderful.
Yes, yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm gonna stop you here, Ellen, and in the next episode we'll talk more about 𝗃𝗄𝗏, because that's also part of the care principles. Yes. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and stay tuned, because in the 3rd episode we'll talk about 𝗃𝗄𝗏. Thank you, and take care.
Want to create lasting impact with your brand while feeding sustainable growth? Check out 𝗃𝗃 𝗖𝗵𝗲 𝗃𝗃 and see how we can help you. 16 Minutes of Care is an independent production from Isabel Verstraete, brand strategist, founder of the CARE Principles, and author of the book, Does Your Brand Care? Help us reach more companies who are looking for caring and sustainable growth by giving this podcast all the stars it deserves and by sharing it in your network. Thank you and take care.